Yes, fellas, welcome to Bala Sports. How you guys doing? Solo, Lino, welcome
What's going
back.
on? What's going on?
Hey, gentlemen.
Damn, Solo,
Yo, man, what's going on, man?
look at the guy in the right, man.
Yo, he went on a long vacation.
Right,
I
man.
mean,
He look all rested, look fresh.
Oh, yeah, he's
something
ready.
like that. Something like
Damn.
that.
He's ready. We can just pretend like we sent him to go, cover something. Match madness. So now he came back with the information we need.
We
I
definitely
wish.
go. He was though, man, because he probably was. He covered the women college ball. So we're definitely gonna hear from him because especially there's a Elite Eight games going on today, and we see you got the shirt on. Let me see the shirt again, man.
Page buckets, baby.
There we go.
Best
It's funny
player in the
because
game right now.
it's funny. Last year it was something else, but we gonna that's a story for another day. Not gonna call
Don't
no names.
don't don't start. Don't start.
Last year was somebody else.
Leno, I see the shirt you have on. How is the women's match madness this year compared to last year? Because we know
Mm.
last year the big draw. We don't have
Yeah.
that this. We don't have that this year. That's what I'm now watching. But you tell me, is the interest the same?
Oh, absolutely. The interest is always going to be the same. I mean, you still got South Carolina doing their thing. You still got UConn always doing their thing. You got UCLA coming in and freaking they're ruining LSU's hopes. They thought they can get back this year, possibly. I mean, it's just everything about the women's basketball because what we see the difference between the women's and the men's is obviously Cooper Flag is gone after this year.
Right,
We don't have that in the women's, so we
Right.
we get accustomed to seeing these ladies for three to 4 years,
right,
and that just draws attention because yeah, watching Cooper Flag is great and watching these one and done's great. But it's 1 year, and then we got to get used to a whole new group. And now we see these ladies develop from their freshman year into their senior year. So it's just nice to see, and that's what keeps it so competitive. And the late on the ladies' side is because these teams that are perennial, we see all the South Carolinas and the UConns going at it every single year, and the USC's and the LSU's because they're so used to playing each other because they play each other a lot during during the regular season which I like. I feel like men's they don't do that a lot. They don't schedule outside of their conference of teams that they possibly might see in the Final Four or really eight or tournament nonetheless. Where in the women's they will schedule outside of their tournament,
Right.
and we're coming to you or you're coming to us, and that's just the way it is. And then we get to see it again in the tournament. So for that on that side, it's awesome to see. I love it. I love it. It's to me it's a hot take. People look at me stupid. I think women's tournament right now is more exciting than
Yeah.
the men's. I
Yeah, but
really, really do.
but we know why the men's listen in both football and basketball on the men's side. You don't ever schedule a tough team in the out of conference games. You're trying to make sure that your resume looks good at the end.
Yeah,
You don't take losses early. That's why all big teams they schedule cupcakes. Like by the time they start playing their conference games, they're like
yeah.
12 and all. So it looks good.
but do you
Oh
also
yeah.
think that in the women's versus the men's, there's more teams in the men that's competitive than the women's side, or what do you think?
Oh yeah. I could see 4 to 5 teams right now. I mean, I know we're getting to our final four, but there's a couple games on tonight. But I can see 4 to 5 teams that can win it. Where you look at the men's side and you're like, there's Duke, and then there's everybody else. I don't want Duke to win. If as long as Duke's in the tournament, they're out to me. But I mean, just for the women's, there's more parity there. You can see
I
South
mean,
Carolina. They're not what they have been the past couple years, but they're
Right,
still good because they still got that championship DNA. But they're more vulnerable than they have been the past couple years. UConn, I think, is better because they just have more experience than South Carolina because of what South Carolina has been losing players wise over the past couple years. But
right.
still give them a run for the money. I would love to see that matchup in the finals if we so get that. But watching UCLA kind of just they got to the Sweet 16. And last year they got to the Elite Eight, and now they finally made their first trip to their Final Four ever in school history. So it's nice to see what the players of Lauren Betts and Gabriella Jaquez have been doing for in their whole collegiate careers to be able to get to at least play in the Final Four, and obviously they have dreams and aspirations of actually winning it. But it's awesome. I love women's tournament.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
amazing.
but so you're saying the women's game is hard to predict who's gonna win compared to the men?
Yeah, because in the men's, you kind of a lot of people you look across the board for the most part, you see. I think it was one point it was like 60% of America were picking Duke because, and a lot of people called it on the men's side where it was chalk,
It
and then
was.
it turned out to be all number one seeds. And we watch March Madness because we want to see the 15 upset the two or the 13 upset the so on and so forth. But we didn't get that. We've been waiting all tournament for it, and it just didn't come.
But
But
we didn't
what
get
comes? But yeah.
we didn't get that in the
But
women either.
no, and the women's, I will say it's very hard to come by that because just the this disparingly of talent in the women on the women's side. It's really perennials up there. Where in the
Right.
men's, at least they have the talent and athleticism to be able to possibly spring an upset. Where women's, it's just so hard to come by. An upset in the women's is like a number three seed upset in a number two or number one. And
Right.
that's just the way it is because we're so used to seeing the top tier teams in the women's at least make it to the final four. Where if like Mississippi State a couple years ago beat UConn, they had one good year. There were I think they had like two or three losses on the year, and they upset UConn, and that's always a big deal because it's like, well, that wasn't Notre Dame, that wasn't South Carolina. It was who's Mississippi State. That was just a flash in the pan for that school.
So
But
that's the reason why I think the men's is more competitive based on what you just say. You know, you look at all around, like preseason, they expected our Jayhawks to be number one, and we all know they shit the bed this season. All season long, I should have said it wasn't good enough, and we're not about
don't
to
don't get me started.
right. So
Don't get me started.
yeah. So how does the transfer portal work for the women's side? Because I don't heard much of the transfer portal for the women compared to the man. I think the transfer portals make Jayhawks look weaker. Because if you look at us in the past few years, it's not like we had the best players in the league. I mean, in the league, in our team in the Jayhawks, but we got a bunch of guys that want to play hard. Now we got all these talented players coming from all different side, different schools because they didn't get play time over there, or they just want to come to a bigger school.
Mhm.
Jayhawks look more weaker this year than I've seen. More talented, but they don't play hard at all. So how does
No.
the transfer portal work for the women's side?
I don't see. Here's the thing with the women's side, you don't really hear about the transfer portal because the big name players are staying put. They're staying at school. So you're not getting a Paige Beckers where like I'm out of here. I'm going to this school. What you don't get that. It's something with the men's. I don't understand that needs to be something, and they need to get like a CBA or a union together because what's going over there, it's insane. It was what was it last week? It was like 2,700 entries into the transfer portal. That's insane.
Yes.
That Indiana right now has no players on their roster. Either everybody graduated or is transferring out. They have zero players on their roster, and that's a problem that we're gonna have, and that's the problem I think we might have going forward with the tournaments, where we see a bunch of mid-major teams who have like a star player on it, and now we're gonna get a top tier team, maybe a Duke, a Kansas, a UNC. They're gonna pay this guy to come out of I don't know Drake. Like, oh, we're gonna pay you some NIL money, and now Drake just got weaker, and the perennials got stronger. So we might not see those upsets that we are accustomed to seeing along the years because NIL to me, I like it, but I feel like it's kind of ruining the sport a little bit in a sense of now it's just going to be top heavy again, and something's got to be done about that. They need to put a cap on it, something because it's insane how many people transfer either because A, they don't like the coach, B, they're not getting playing time. You ever thought about you're not getting playing time because you might suck? You ever thought
Oh,
of
you
getting
might.
playing
Yeah.
time? You ever thought about not getting playing time just because maybe you're just showing up and not trying hard where the other guys off the court are putting time work in the gym, in the weight room, and you're just messing around, go doing your thing, going to class, but you're not putting in the extra work to be great, and then you can't come to practice or game time and then complain about not getting playing time. So
Right.
there's just and I feel like it's a lot of the transfer portals are really entitlement because these athletes, they come from that they're a 5 star out of high school, and now they come to the big pond and they don't know how to swim. So I mean,
Yeah, I get
what,
what you're saying, but if Solo could jump in and also answer this question, do you think that because I want to separate the NIL and the transfer portal. I know the money goes through there, but I don't mind the getting paid, college players getting paid, whatnot, right? But the transfer
yeah,
portal, what is that's really the same thing as the NIL, or
Well,
how does it even work?
I mean, it's not the same, but it is the same because you think about it. And another point I wanted to make, another reason why we don't see the women's game have a lot of players entering the transfer portal or going to, because we all agree that probably male athletes, even college, they're probably getting more deals than the women's. Apart from last year, we had one superstar on the women's side. She was getting the deals, but the rest of them in college, and they're not getting deals left and right. So they're likely to stay in one place. Now the men, listen, a lot. There's a statistics that say a lot of, I don't know, over 90% of these players playing in colleges will not make the NBA. So to a lot of these kids, this money they're making now, that's the only money they're gonna make. So we I totally can't blame players for entering transfer portals every year, but they want to get themselves in a better situation for themselves and their families, and which is okay. For so many years, the universities and the colleges have been making so much money on the kids, and every time they get any kind of benefit, they get suspended. They go
Right.
like I remember circus players when they went to volunteer at the YMCA, they got banned for that. So I mean, so I understand what you understand is getting out of hand. I kind of like it though. I kind of like it. It makes things unpredictable. You know what I mean? Uh, or somebody, or you can also argue that it's making the. I had this argument on the radio that it's making the top heavy teams get better. Like you said, they can always afford to get the better players. Listen, I don't mind as long as the product on the court is good. I'll keep watching. I wish some professional sports didn't have a salary cap. Like you just spend however you want and see how far they take it. I don't mind that. But I think and this is another reason why I think the women's sport basketball game will soon rival the men's tournament in terms of excitement. Because for the past few years, we've seen how the women's game, how far they've come. Like I never used to sit and watch the women's like I've done the past couple of years. Now I am. So I think they're getting better. And I'm glad that women are getting paid a little bit more than they used to. We see now college players, women, in commercials on TV, which I think is a great thing. I'm excited to see that. We're not only saying the men, but I think the main reason why we don't see women jumping from school to school is, the reason that they're not just trying to make money like the men are trying to make money. If another school's
So
willing to pay you more money, you jump ship, you go to the next school.
right. Yeah. Lino, Tom Izzo, I think he's one of the best college coaches, in my opinion, because he never had no top recruiters like everybody does. He do get
mhm.
decent players, but he coached them really hard. He made some of the statement last week about, I mean, bro, the transfer portal is already open. Kids already start. I think the agents or the parents already start putting them into the portal before the Sweet 16 or even the tournament is already over.
Yeah.
And he was talking about that. What do you think about what he was saying? Do you agree with him?
They have to move that back after the season. It only makes sense that because now you think about it, let's just say let's take Kansas for instance.
Right.
It would work in our favor. Okay, we got bounced first day of the tournament, first round, whatever. Now we get a head start because we're done. We
Right.
don't need to we don't need to worry about who we're playing next. It should be equal for all. And I don't know how deep these pockets go in colleges. Maybe in the top tier, but what about if you get below, the second tier? Do a lot of these colleges have recruitments on hand where okay, you go look at the portal. You go look at the portal. Not everybody has those resources to do so. But to make it, if you want to make it fair, move it back. It makes no sense to me. Even with the coaches, these Villanova was waiting so long to hire their guy, but he kept on winning in the tournament, and it made it very awkward. He's getting booed by his own fans because he keeps on winning, and he's getting booed because they know he's gonna leave.
Right.
Because it's just the way of the sports world.
That is kind of crazy though, man. Why would you leave Maryland that got this success to go to? I mean, I understand Villanova. I mean, I love it. It's in Pennsylvania. I love a lot of Pennsylvania teams.
Villanova's big time.
Yeah.
Man.
But
at the same time, like right now, like you said, about the transfer portal, like, bro, I think that Maryland did great. They actually, you know, I mean, I think some of his plays would have, like, you know, how some coaches do. I'm not gonna mention
that will be the things that I've been reading from everything that I've been hearing from where he started to where he is now coaching. He's a dick. Gotcha. He does it his way or the highway, and they will be interested to see. Okay, how good of a coach are you? If you're going to take some of your players, that tells me, okay, you're a dick, but people respect you, and players are going to come with you. If nobody comes with him, that tells me everything I need to know about this guy. Because with Danny Hurley out of UConn, he took when he got the UConn job, he took his players, some of the players where he was, took them with him to UConn, and then won back-to-back championships. And we've seen what Danny Hurley's been doing, being a sore loser after the game, talking to reporters, saying, I hope the refs don't screw you like the way they did us, and all this. But at the same time, yeah, he's a dick, but coaches or players respect him, and they came with him.
He wins.
Yeah, he wins.
Yeah. So let's get to the Final Four with the men's side, man. The first time since 2008, well, the second time since 2008. We've seen number one teams made it to the Final Four. Florida versus Auburn. And the Duke team that we all don't want to see in it versus Houston. And I picked Houston to win it all. It's going to be tough. But going back to the matchups against the previous games in the Elite Eight, if I'm not mistaken, because, you know, I was really pissed because I was watching the Duke game.
Duke,
Alabama. Yeah.
I mean,
Alabama come out cold, man. Just the game before that, they was shooting 25 points.
Let's set the record the previous game.
Yeah.
And guess what, bro, right? So this is the crazy part. This is the first time me and John Rico support the same team because we both hate Duke. I guess we all hate Duke.
I don't hate
Duke. Man, dude, man, get out of here.
I don't hate
Duke.
I should hate Duke, but
so he invited me over to watch the game. We finally rooted for the same team. That was a long night.
And that team lost. Yeah, two losers sitting on the couch watching the game.
Yeah, so my question to you guys, man, what do you think about this matchup saying to the Final Four, man? Who you guys think is gonna make it to the finals in both games? Saturday, first game at 6:09. What the hell is it? 6:09, 6 p.m., bro. But anyways, and the second game will be at 8:49. What's up with these nines going on?
9 p.m.
Duke plays
Houston.
That's the last game of 4:49, man. What do you guys think so far?
I mean, the only top team I've been watching is Duke. They look like they're going all the way. I thought Alabama, after watching them in the previous game, with how they shot it, I really thought they had a shot on Duke. But then after watching that game, I'm like, maybe Duke is just way above everyone, which is so crazy because Mike Krzyzewski is not there anymore. And everybody thought they're going down. But Duke is still Duke. So I think Duke is going all the way. And also, since when did Alabama, Florida, when these football schools became basketball schools? What's going on? And then we have the traditional power, super basketball team like Kansas, Villanova. They're not even there. What's going on?
Well, Syracuse is not a super in football or basketball, but go ahead.
Listen, I intentionally left out Syracuse because I knew this dude was going to say something about Syracuse. But Syracuse was known to be a basketball school better than football because football they always suck. But basketball, at least they won a championship. Football, they're trying these days. But it's just sad to me that that's what I think, and I know I'm going off topic. They have to bring back the Big East. Well, the Big East really made the whole basketball landscape good. But going back to the Final Four, I think Duke is the championship to lose. I don't know who'll be able to beat Duke, unless
Houston.
unless that's what we thought about Alabama too, didn't we? So I think unless another big injury, if there's a big injury happens to Duke, that's the only way I think that's the only way they don't win.
Solo,
No,
you know me. Go ahead. My bad.
I listen. I want Duke to lose. I don't care who beats them. I was going for Bama, but I knew Duke was going to win. The only two teams I believe in this tournament that could beat them is Houston and Florida. And luckily, they have possibly have a chance to play both. I got Houston going all the way. Now I did have Michigan State. Thank you, Tom Izzo. But so, Houston, I think Duke hasn't seen a team like Houston with their size and tenacity on defense. Somebody that can pressure them right when they get over from half court.
Right.
And something that Houston has had is defense these past couple of years. What they haven't had is consistent shooting, and that's what they have this year. So I'm just putting all my chips pushing into the table on Houston. And what I really love about Houston is Kelvin Sampson, man. Something about that guy. He's been coaching 32 years, and he has no titles, man. Gotta have a soft spot in him. And I heard something today. I was listening to a podcast, and they were saying how uh, he wanted to go to the NBA, and his father told him his father was on his deathbed, and he said, "I think you should go coach college." Those are the last. That was the last words that he said to him, and he died 2 days later. And then he went coach college, and this is what I think. That's when he got the Houston job. So let's just hope the stars align, man. His pop's looking down, and that's the only thing that I
Let's
can
go
just
Houston.
put.
Hey, I don't see that happening. I know that's your wish, but I just don't see that happening.
But solo, like I get what you're saying because I get what you're saying because Duke is really good overall when you look at them. Some of them kids that be showing up, man. I can't do you. Most of them probably will not even make it to the league.
They
But
got NBA ready players on Duke.
not all. But
Not all, but
yeah,
it takes one. It only takes one.
but also for me, the match madness, what I love about it is because of it's not about who's the best team all season, it's about who showed up that night.
That night, you're right.
Who showed up to that night. And if Houston showed up hitting them shots, like Lino says, man, he pointed a lot about the consistency on making shots and they could drive to the hole and they also
they have the experience too.
And they got tough defense. Even though last night I was a little bit like, yo, what's up with all this foul calls and back to back? I almost got Tennessee back in the game with this. Was it Tennessee? Whoever it was, back in the game.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, dude, this is crazy. But I think that I picked Houston as my bracket to be the number one team at the end of all this. But what about Auburn, yo? I think Auburn has also got an NBA player already there, especially Broom and all these other guys.
Oh, yeah.
Florida is not a joke, but you guys haven't spoke much about Florida and Auburn. What do you think? Who do you think is going to pull off in that series?
The thing with Auburn, they got off to a hot start, and right about I think it was the last 3-4 games of the regular season, they had everything wrapped up, and it seemed like they just stopped trying. I don't know what it was. I think mentally they were like, even if you lose, it doesn't matter. So going into the conference tournament, they weren't playing their best ball. So I didn't say I would count them out. I just thought if you limp in, you're not really going to play well.
Mm-hmm.
And they really didn't. Kinda in the during the tournament, I think the best game that they played was Michigan State in the Elite Eight. That was the best I've seen them play on offense and defensive side. But something about Florida with Walter Clayton and listen, they got size, man. The two Florida has size. I mean, they have a 7'9" guy. They don't even play. He just sits the bench. But they got two 7-footers. They play. So the thing about Florida, they're going to shoot threes. and they don't care if they miss them. They're gonna shoot threes. That's just who they are. And if they're not shooting threes, they're dunking on your head. That's
Yep.
just they're
But
just tough.
that's the
But
same
with
thing you can say about Auburn. I feel like Auburn also got aggressive.
yeah,
They're very aggressive team to do the same.
You know what? With Alban, I was just glad to see Charles Barkley, his reaction after they lose. That's what I cared about, Charles Barkley, when they lose. But like Florida, so Florida, even though Florida for so long was for football, so if you guys remember, 2004 maybe five, they were like what, two-time champions, right, back to back. When they
yeah.
had Noah and yeah, so
Oh
Florida, they,
six, oh six, oh seven.
right,
Yep.
right. So they have history of winning. So this is nothing
Right.
new to them. So I think that I really think that like little. So I think they got big bodies. They have advantage. If and we know in the tournament the game slows down. When the game slows down, you gotta do all the right things. And I think they're well coached. I mean, it's hard to predict, but I think Florida will be the better team.
You know, one of those teams, man, versus Houston. That's all matters, man. Fellas.
I'm
I haven't,
going. I'm going for Florida just in case Duke happens to slip by.
yeah, you're right.
Because I seen Duke versus Auburn in the I think they played in January and it wasn't pretty.
No.
So I don't want to see that again. Anybody that beats Duke, that's really all this comes down to.
Might
That's all.
never, might not happen.